Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the CSN3M Mindset Monday podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Wade with Case Specific Nutrition. On this channel, we focus on the 3 M's, mindsets, myth busting, and mentoring, all as they pertain to health and nutrition. Today's episode, seeing as it's early in the year, we are going to be digging into the topic of challenges. And we've talked a little bit about these off and on throughout Season 1. For a couple different reasons, but I thought that the second week in January would be a very good time to address challenges and competitions, which are probably one of the most common things that exist this time of year. People come off of the holiday seasons and the cold weather, and they're in that quiet time of year, and they decide it's time to focus in. And along with some coworkers or colleagues or friends or people through a Facebook group or wherever, their local gym, they decide it's time to do a challenge. And challenges vary from step competitions to weight loss competitions to overall wellness competitions. You name it, there's a bunch of them out there. And I think it's really important that for those of you that are a part of them or considering becoming a part of them, that you take some time to really step back and think about what the purpose of the competition is. As humans, we are very competitive. We are tribal, is what it's called anthropologically. It's why we root for sports teams and wear their jerseys. It's why we pick anything that has seemingly two sides and pick a side and then defend it with our very blood, sweat, and tears. We are very good at picking a side and sticking to it. We are tribal. And as a result, competition, work going against others, is something that is instinctively in our nature. It's something that drives us, that motivates us, and brings out all sorts of levels of discipline and focus and willingness to be rigid. And so it's not a surprise that accountability and group competition is used as a way to focus in. Now, the downside, competitions typically have a finish line, which means at the end of the competition, most people end up abandoning all the things they were doing during the competition. And where this becomes kind of a conundrum is for those of you out there that are trying to work on lifestyle habits, which is to say you're trying to work on doing things differently permanently. The competition aspect can sometimes really distract you from those lifestyle habits, particularly if you're in a weight loss competition, because weight loss competitions have a tendency to bring out the weight loss by any means necessary population, which is to say that people start doing literally everything they can to drop weight. And something that's worth remembering is that while weight loss is a common side effect of people improving their eating and moving, that doesn't mean that weight loss is always healthy, and it doesn't mean that weight loss is always a good thing. And it also doesn't mean that extreme behaviors that drive weight loss more quickly are beneficial for the body short-term or long-term. And so what I would encourage everybody to do that's looking at these challenges is take a step back and realize that challenges really can be used for two things. You can either choose to focus outward and worry about everybody else, or you can use it as time that allows you to focus inward and focus on yourself. And the difference is if you spend all your time focusing outward and worrying about everybody else, you're going to start doing what everybody else is doing. You're going to start making interventions and insertions based on what other people are doing, which means you're going to be disregarding your needs and your wants and your desires and your motives that will last beyond the competition. Where if you choose to focus inward, you're going to be better connected with why you want to be in the competition. What do you want to get out of the competition? What you're hoping to walk away with, and more importantly, what you're hoping to keep. Because the reality is if you go into a competition of some kind or a challenge and you overdo it, right? You put too much effort or emphasis or focus in, you're too rigid, and you then plan to abandon those habits, you know that the results of those interventions are going to go away just as quickly as they came off. So something to keep in mind is focusing inward allows you to become more in tune with what you're trying to accomplish, and as a result will set you up better to choose the interventions you want to take, and will set it up so that there's a higher likelihood that when the competition's done, you're more likely to keep doing what you were doing. For most people, the goal of a challenge The thought behind it is it's an onboarding. It's meant to be a way to lower the action potential. Some people struggle to get started or get motivated to make changes. And as humans, we're very resistant to change. And when we realize that resistance to change is kind of a key character trait, finding ways to make change less frustrating can be a really good thing. And doing it with other people, right? The idea that misery loves company, joking, is that idea that, you know what, getting started doing something when others are doing it always makes it easier. But herein lies the problem. If it comes from a mindset of misery loves company, well, in what world are you going to be doing something that makes you miserable for years and years and years, right? So once again, we can see where using challenges to get yourself over a hump of forcing yourself to do something you don't enjoy will only work if you actually learn to enjoy it, which means the habits that you plan to adopt during a challenge need to be things that you get to enjoy. You start to see the value in, see the benefit in. And that means the value and benefit can't just be the prize at the end of the challenge. The value and benefit has to be something you feel daily, something you experience or notice. Is your sleep better? Is your energy better? Is your appetite more regulated? Does your body digest better? Do you feel like you're more stable mood-wise? Do you feel a fitness or a reduction in inflammation or an improvement in mobility and flexibility? There's all sorts of opportunities to feel better and connect with what you're doing so that all of a sudden you're doing it because you actually see the benefit and enjoy the benefit, which motivates you to want to continue doing it. So let's step back again and keep in mind that challenges have a genuine intention. They're trying to help people get started. The problem is a lot of times they try and help people get started forcing something they're not excited to do or they don't see the long-term value in. So make sure whatever you start doing this year, you see the long-term value in. And then also be on the lookout for the short-term value while you're doing it, after you're doing it, the days in between you doing whatever it is. Make sure you're in tune with why you're doing those things, taking inventory of the benefits of it. And that will reinforce and allow it to become something that you decide you want to continue doing afterwards. The other piece of the challenge that we want to step back on and kind of keep in mind is that challenges are kind of an interesting psychology in where they direct your attention. And so where they direct your attention can vary. Some people, for a weight loss challenge, choose to focus on the scale. But once again, if you're inserting temporary habits to manipulate the scale, sure, it might go down a lot. The problem is if you don't keep any of that, guess what's going to happen? It's going to go right back up. And the reality is, if your goal of losing weight is to be healthier, you did not succeed in that goal by starting random habits you don't plan to keep and then abandoning them at first moment's notice. It'd be worth recognizing that a really well thought out challenge would allow people to, instead of focusing, oh, we got a Rottweiler shaking his head. Sorry, we've got Rottweilers napping in the podcast studio today. But anyway, instead of us focusing on the scale, really what we'd have to think about is if the goal of entering a challenge is to be healthier or to improve overall health. Yes, weight loss is likely a side effect of that, but the key is to keep in mind that if health is really the goal, then we would be better off focusing on what would make you healthier. Because to be honest, being lighter is not necessarily what makes you healthier. Being lighter is an accumulation of habits, but the habits themselves are what make you healthier. So moving, for example, physical activity and exercise. Well, the minutes after you do and complete an exercise routine, your blood pressure goes down, your cholesterol levels are changing, your blood sugar is improved. You are instantly healthier regardless of what the scale's doing. And so we have to remember that habits like movement and habits like good quality meals and eating until satisfied and eating in a balanced way and drinking enough water and getting enough sleep. These are all things that help us maintain our hormones and maintain our body's normal rhythms and cycles and maintain our metabolism and keep our body in a state out of inflammation so that it's not, suppressing immune function and suppressing the body's ability to recover and repair things. And so weight loss is often a side effect of all of those things happening. But what's more important is realizing that you actually get the health benefits right then and there from doing those things. So the big question is, can you use a challenge as an opportunity to focus on a couple key things? I know for me, one of my focuses I always have to recalibrate now and then is getting back to eating breakfast consistently, because my mornings tend to be the time that I kind of rush, and it's the easiest meal for me to quote unquote miss. Well, I recognize that as a side effect of me eating breakfast, a lot of things happen. Energy levels, digestion, overall body composition, recovery from exercise. There's a lot of value and benefit to that. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to choose to focus on that habit. And if I do that habit consistently, I get to reap the rewards of it. That's why at Case Specific, we utilize what's called the Lifestyle 150, and we encourage a lot of our clients to utilize it as a way to jumpstart. And we have a PDF on our Facebook group, and we also did a mindset session on it last week that's shareable. But the Lifestyle 150 is a simple idea. You pick 5 things that enhance your lifestyle. And so that could be reading 10 pages of a book, eating a fruit or vegetable with each meal, making sure you have an intentional walk or some sort of movement each day, making sure you're getting a certain amount of sleep or you're in bed by a certain time, making sure you're drinking a certain amount of water. You get the picture. Picking a couple key things that you know symbolize you taking adequate self-care, symbolize you feeling better, and then allowing those things to exist and choosing to focus on them. And the Lifestyle 150 is if you pick 5 things, what ends up happening is if you do all 5 of them for 30 days, it adds up to 150. So we have a tracker that allows you to give yourself the check marks each day. And the goal is to see how close to 150 you can get, because that means you did 150 unique things over the course of a month for your body, for your health, for your well-being. And that's really what a challenge is trying to do. It's trying to accelerate and onboard new habits. Unfortunately, most challenges nowadays encourage people to accelerate and onboard temporary habits. And so what I'd challenge all of you to do is do the Lifestyle 150 this year. Pick 5 things that you want to do sustainably, that you think if you did them each day of the week, you would feel better. You would have physical improvements, mental benefits. There would be value added to your life mentally, physically, emotionally. And then focus on doing those things. Let those take an effect. Let them be a part of your health and wellness. Let them change your physiology. Let them change you, and be surprised and excited by the results of living a healthier lifestyle, as opposed to living in this temporary world of forcing fake things that are disconnected from who you are and who you're trying to be. I guarantee if you do this, you'll find that instead of being in the same January the next year saying, got to start doing this same thing again, you'll instead have habits that you're keeping. And a year from now, you'll realize that you live in a very, very different way. And a lot of things that your body benefits from, you do very subconsciously and autonomously. And you've probably added a whole lot of things to that. And just like we talked about in the first podcast of the year, you're now spending your time focusing on what you are doing instead of what you aren't, which means you're looking forward. And that is really where happiness, health, and benefit for health and well-being long-term come from. So there you have it. This is a formal challenge to do the Lifestyle 150. And for those of you out there that are participating in different challenges through a gym or a colleague group or a group, perhaps take some time and step back and make sure the interventions you're putting into your life are actually things you plan to continue doing, but more importantly, are things that you actually see the value in doing. And let's spend more time doing things that we see the value in, as opposed to forcing things that we see temporary benefit from. As always, I'd like to thank you for taking a listen and tuning in to the CSN3M podcast. We will be back next week with another CSN3M Mindset Monday. But in the meantime, please subscribe to our channel, share on your favorite social media, tagging a friend or a loved one. And don't forget to do your part and hashtag spread the health when you post. You can always follow us at Case Specific Nutrition on social media for more content and information, as well as our website, casespecificnutrition.com. And we will look forward to reconnecting next week with our next Mindset Monday.